also, too, like, I'm not trying to make something out of nothing. I'm very excited the Lions are talking to Calais Campbell. I take him on the Giants any day of the week. That's a winner. Oh, but he's 36 years old. I don't care. His play, if I manage his snap count, is rock solid. And if you believe in what Brad Holmes and the Lions are building, Calais Campbell is that type of player. He is one of the most respected guys in the league. He can walk into any locker room. He could walk into the Kansas City Chiefs tomorrow. He'd command the room. He could walk into the Philadelphia locker room. Command a room. That's absolutely the type of guy I want to bring in. And no, he's not the Calais Campbell from 7 years ago who had 15 sacks. But that's a guy I want around my young players. That's a guy that in December, I've kept him fresh. That's a guy I want in the trenches as we go to war to win a division. So keep your eye on that. I think it's great he added you to the list. Jets, Bills, you. Good. Jags as well. So I'm into it. I'd love to see Calais Campbell in town. But let me do this college basketball thing real quick, because on a normal year, we would have led with it. Thanks, Paulie. And I'm a college basketball guy. I mean, I bust Rico's balls in December when Rico's like, hey, did you see the Pepperdine get? No, Rico, I didn't. Nor did anyone else. But I'm a college basketball guy. I love the tournament. I love the Final Four. This Final Four is completely uninteresting to me, and I think all of America. This is what happens when seeding doesn't matter. It's what happens when the transfer portal ruins the sport, and I think we're left with something no one's going to watch. So I've pivoted to something different today. And Kenny brought this up at the end of the March Madness Blitz. I think this is way more mass appeal. Whether you're a football guy, basketball guy, baseball guy, hockey guy, or in Paul's case, pickleball, officiating is the backbone of most arguments. So I'm going to take you to a game that nobody watched yesterday of Creighton and SDSU. And the game was decided by a foul, essentially with no time left. And SDSU shot free throws to go to the Final Four. I hated it. I thought the foul was questionable. You could make a case that it was a foul. You could make a case that the refs needed to swallow the whistle. So I wanted to pose a question to you that, while it's based on what happened yesterday and based on college basketball, it's really about all sports. And we don't have to look far for a much larger example, the Super Bowl. The holding on James Bradbury that, for all intents and purposes, decided the game. And people had the same argument. You got to call it straight, or you got to swallow the whistle. Which way do you want your games decided? And remember, none of us are Eagle fans. None of us are Chiefs fans. None of us are Aztecs or Blue Jays. This is about, once you remove yourself as a fan. Of course, if you're an Eagles fan, you love the call. Excuse me. You're a Chiefs fan, you love the call. You're an Eagles fan, you hated it. So I want to know how you want the game decided in the big moment. Should the refs swallow the whistle, or do you need to call it the same way all day? And Jay Wright was on TV. I think he does a great job. He does a great job explaining things. Like, after we get through the hee-hees and ha-has of Kenny and Charles and the rest, look, did the kid from Creighton have his hand on the shooter's hip? Yes. Do I think that impacted the shot? No. I don't think that was ever going in. I'm not deciding who goes to a Final Four on anything other than blatant. It has to be blatant. Not egregious, but blatant. Obvious. I hated it. I thought it marred the game. Other people will tell you it's a foul by the book. That's a foul in the first minute. It's got to be a foul in the last minute. I want to know which side of it you're on. And you don't have to like college basketball to comment. It could be any sport. I gave you the Super Bowl as that example. Was that the most egregious defensive holding ever? No. No, it wasn't. But it decided a Super Bowl. Should they have swallowed the whistle? Or did they call it correctly? You have to decide, separate of what team you root for, how you want these games called. And I've never been a fan of officiating deciding a game. I'm just not. I don't like it. To me, it cheapens it. 248-539-9797. So, Kenny, using that as an example, again, I don't expect, in fact, I'd be disappointed if you watched Creighton and San Diego State. I don't even know if that game was on in Honduras. But I would like to know, as a fan of any sport, call it the same way the whole day, or unless it's egregious, let them play it out in the final moments. What is the preferred menu for Kenny Cott?
I think in any sport, once you start calling plays a certain way, the onus becomes on the players to adhere to that style of officiating. Because it isn't always, but it should be the same both ways. Both teams are getting the same calls, doing the same things wrong or right. So if you adhere to those standards, by the end of the game, you can take the whistle out of the officials' hands by just abiding by the way that they're officiating a game. So if you're calling it the same all game, I don't have a problem with it. That's my take. I know it's probably unpopular in this instance.
No.
But if it's called the same way all game from start to finish, it's on the players if you get a call against you late in the game.
Kenny, don't say that. I don't know that people would agree with my side either. It's why I thought it was an interest. Kenny, in a Final Four that I have no interest in, other than my UConn future, that's why I made this the topic. Because I don't know, like you'd have to do like a straw poll of all sports fans. And I almost feel like it would still come out 50-50. Because separating who you're rooting for. I didn't care who won Creighton and SDSU. I didn't bet on it. I don't like either school. I don't care if both schools disappeared. I hated that game ending that way on that play. I just think it's cheap. Whereas you'd say, nice call, Stripes. Nice call.
I hate it, but I see what you're saying because nobody ever wants to see a game end like that, and it's a damn shame when it does. It hurts the sport, it hurts the game, but if we're talking about fairness to the winning and losing teams, my stance is always, hey, if you called it this way from the start, you're going to call it this way at the end.
That's why they call him Kenny right down the middle Cott. 248-539-9797. You want to give me a few of the ticket texts coming in? We'll get the callers settled. Paul is scrambling to answer the phone. And we'll be ready to rock.
I agree, Mike. You have to let this game go to overtime. Let those teams figure it out in the overtime period. No reason to make that call in that moment.
I got to tell you, I love the way Paul yells screaming phones. He's the most mild-mannered, nice human being we have at this station. But when people call in, it's not yelling in anger. He just has this bellowing voice. I'm like, oh, my God, where did that come from?
He has to assert his authority, Mike.
It's unbelievable.
Mike, you're wrong about the Final Four. This whole tournament has been electric. I'm excited to watch the rest of these games. I'm not a big basketball fan, but absolutely love March tournament for this. That's from Mark in Sterling Heights.
Mark, it's like music. It's subjective. I get it. I admit I am a brand whore. I admit that I want Blue Bloods in the Final Four. It's not about right or wrong. I'm giving you my take. Now, I will tell you the one thing I'm not wrong about. I don't think I'm wrong. No one's going to watch this. Now, nerds will. That's fine. The average American, I don't know who the hell's watching FAU, SDSU, or UConn, Miami. Sorry. These four schools have a combined fan base that isn't 10% of a Kansas or a North Carolina. It's a nothing burger. I don't even think the people at Miami are aware they're in the Final Four. They're still waiting for Ray Lewis and Warren Sapp to come back to campus.
I like this text that just says Kenny is totally right. Love that. Another
Read more of those.
I would like more. Send more of those in. Also, the last one here says, why do I keep hearing random conversations in the background? That would be our powerful call screener, Paul Serra.
He's like Pavarotti. He's just over here just belting tunes.